had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. And I started realizing through this process that the fucking mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless.
You know you're wasting time. You know you're being lazy. And you know exactly what you should be doing, but you don't do it. Why? Because it's easier to stay comfortable than to face the discomfort of growth. The laziness isn't just doing nothing, it's knowing better and still choosing less. It's that voice convincing you I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow doesn't come.
I thought fear was a beast to conquer. It's not what I expected. They never are. These dragons we imagine. Tell me. Fear was always protecting something precious. My dreams, my heart. But the only way I knew how was by saying no. And what does that tell you? Being afraid doesn't mean I'm not ready. Sometimes it means I'm exactly where I need to be. Standing at the edge of something important.
People want this to be cut and dry. They want this to be easy. They want it to be quick. They want it to be painless. There's nothing easy, quick, and painless about being fucking great at building anything in life, creating anything in life, becoming anything in life. You are going to suffer. It is going to be hard. It is going to take all of your energy. You're going to be demoralized. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be angry. You're going to be bitter sometimes. This is why it's so important to build yourself into someone who can execute regardless of what your mood is, regardless of what your circumstances is, because if you can execute when things are fucked up and everybody else bails and everybody else quits, what kind of advantage does that give you over the long haul?
Do it, and do it, and do it, and do it. That's the hack.
Getting better at anything really never feels good. Like if you're building resilience, it's not a time that you're liking. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't feel good. Like, so that's when, okay, I don't like this. This feels like but because it's hard, because I can't lift these weights anymore. But like those are the moments, for what it's worth, where you're getting better.
There are going to be days where you get up and you do exactly what you're supposed to do and you work as hard as you possibly can and nothing happens. And on that day, you're going to feel like you're wasting your effort. You're going to feel like you're wasting your time. On that day, you're going to wonder why you're even doing what you're doing. But on that day, you're going to promise yourself that you're going to get up tomorrow and do the exact same thing. And when tomorrow arrives and the same thing happens, you're going to promise yourself once again that you're going to get up the next day and do it all over again. If you repeat that process over and over and over again, one day it's going to feel as though the stars have aligned, where all of a sudden everything just seems to click and everything is going your way out of nowhere. But that day is not just given to you. You have to earn that day. The cost of that one day where it feels like the stars have aligned is all those days where it felt like you were wasting your time. They say luck is where preparation meets opportunity. The days where you're wasting your time is your preparation, and that one day where everything clicks is that opportunity.
If you lack talent, you can't sit back and say, I'll start in half an hour. I can't do that. I gotta start now. And then after I get back from starting, I gotta start again. And then when I get done with that run or that study session, if it wasn't good enough, I gotta go back again. Because repetition is what taught me everything. So you can honestly outwork anything.
There will come a day where you don't feel strong anymore, where everything in you screams to walk away, not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because you're tired in a way most people will never understand. The hours, the weight, the setbacks nobody sees, it adds up and it wears you down. And you start thinking maybe the dream isn't worth it anymore. Maybe you're not cut out for this after all. That's the voice that creeps in when you're exhausted. The voice that only shows up when you're inches away from something bigger. And if you listen too long, it sounds reasonable. It sounds rational. It sounds like it's protecting you, but it's lying to you. It's fear in disguise. It's weakness pretending to be wisdom. Because the truth is, you didn't come this far to only come this far. You didn't pour your soul into this just to stop when it got uncomfortable. You didn't bleed just to walk away when it got hard. This is what hard feels like. This is what the turning point feels like. This is the part of the story they skip in the highlight reels. The long, brutal, lonely middle. The nights where you wonder if it's all a waste. The mornings where your body says no, but your spirit says one more rep. Anyone can keep going when it's easy, when the results are visible, when the applause is loud. But who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when progress is invisible? When it feels like nothing you're doing is working? When you're breaking and bending and doubting yourself in ways you didn't even know were possible? That's the real test. And the ones who make it, they aren't the ones who never wanted to quit. They're the ones who wanted to quit 10,000 times and kept moving anyway, dragging themselves forward if they had to, crawling if they had to, gritting their teeth and pushing into the pain because the mission mattered more than their feelings. You don't overcome because you feel good. You overcome because you refuse to be conquered. Every second you fight through when you want to quit, you are making deposits into a future that people will call luck. They won't know about the nights you broke in half and kept going. They won't know about the mornings you got up when your heart was still heavy. They'll just see the outcome, and they'll say it must have been easy for you. Let them. You'll know the truth, that you earned it in the trenches, that you built the version of yourself they're applauding now, out of broken days, out of silent nights, out of lonely battles no one else was willing to fight. You don't need another motivational quote. You don't need another reason. You need to remember who you said you'd become. Remember the promises you made when you were strong, when you believed in yourself, when you could still see the vision clearly. That version of you is still alive. It's just buried under fatigue, buried under setbacks, buried under the weight of the process. Dig them out. Fight for them. Fight for the future you swore you'd build. Because if you quit now, you'll have to live with the version of yourself that knows you were capable and still walked away. You'll have to live with the regret that whispers, you almost made it. You almost broke through. You almost touched the life you were born to live. But you gave it up because it got hard. And that regret, it never leaves. It follows you. It rots you from the inside. Don't let that be your story. You are stronger than the storm you're standing in. You are harder than the wall standing in your way. You are deeper than the doubt trying to drown you. You didn't come this far to stop now. You didn't survive everything you survived just to fold when the real test showed up. The finish line is closer than you think. Most people quit when they're inches away. One more fight, one more round, one more step. Keep moving, even if it's ugly, even if it's slow, even if you have to drag yourself forward by your fingertips. Keep moving, because on the other side of this pain is the person you were born to become. And if you could see who's waiting for you on the other side, you wouldn't even hesitate. You'd keep going. You'd fight harder. You'd realize this pain isn't a punishment. It's a portal to a new life, a new level, a new legacy. But only if you keep going, only if you refuse to fold, only if you choose right now to suffer for a season instead of suffocating for a lifetime. This is your moment. This is your line in the sand. Decide. You're either going to be the one who almost made it, or the one who refused to be denied. The choice isn't easy, but it is yours. Keep going.
Let's say you're miserable and unhappy. Okay, here's a cure. Find what's valuable and let it go. And you're suffering terribly because of it. Well, what do? Maybe you let it go. It's a sacrifice. And the idea is that, well, that'll clear the future for you. Well, very frequently when people are suffering terribly, not always, because sometimes you just suffer stupidly, blindly, and without recourse. But sometimes the reason that you're suffering is because you just won't let go of the thing that's biting you. That's not such a good idea. The funny thing too, often when people let something like that go, it goes away, sorts itself out, and then comes back. So they don't even end up losing it. But unless they're willing to let it go, to sacrifice it, they make no headway whatsoever. And so one of the rules is, if people are impeding your development, you sacrifice your relationship with them.
At moments where I'm bone tired, I have that clarity. And when you have the clarity and you know where you're trying to go, then it becomes clear about what you have to train at. What are the things you have to train into yourself? But the only way to do that is to have a self-esteem that's built entirely around being the learner. Why? Because you get the shot to the head, the nugget of gold at your feet. It says, you suck at this. That hurts, man. That's hard to own. It's hard to face. And there's 1,000 voices in your mind telling you all the reasons why it's somebody else's fault and it's not your fault. But the reality is, the moment you do that, you're giving away your power because you're not looking for a way to change. Remember, between where you are and where you want to go, it is a gap of skill set.
Life is meant to be lived joyously. It truly is. If you're doing and living a life that's not joyous and happy, something is wrong and you need to make a change, right? We're here on this planet for a finite amount of time. Make it a good one. When my guru was dying, one of the last things he ever said was, "What an amazing life. I would not have traded it for anything in the world." And I said to myself, what beautiful words to hear from a dying man. I would love to be able to say in my last breath, look back on my life and go, what an amazing life it was. And that was just, I couldn't do it again, even if I tried. That was just fantastic. In order to do that, we really need to know what we want. But we begin by understanding our mind and learning how to manage our energy and wisely invest our energy.
So if you're starting a new chapter because you're excited and you're reinventing yourself, that's fabulous. Still take time to complete the last chapter that you were in. So you step into the new chapter with all of the wisdom and the gratitude and the learning and the growth that you gained. If you are starting a new chapter, as so many of us do, because we are running away from the old us, we're running away from a bad relationship, we're closing the door on something that wasn't working, you better make sure you take the time to think through and journal about this last chapter, who you've been, the habits you no longer want to repeat, the mistakes that you made, what you've learned, what you're running from, and more importantly, what changes you're going to make and how this new chapter is going to support you in doing it and in becoming the person that you're meant to be. Without that intentional moment of reflection, and without that intentional moment where you're going to list out the behaviors and thinking patterns and habits you're changing, you're just going to take all that crap you're running from right into this new chapter.
So what you have to start doing is realizing that no matter where you're at in life, no one's coming back to help you. So it starts with that person in that mirror. You have to realize you are on your own now. And whatever else you believe in, I don't care what you believe in, but on earth, it's a very lonely journey. And it starts with the accountability mirror, looking and saying, hey, all these things are coming back. I have to face myself. And you have to own all those things that people may have done to you, now it's yours. You have to figure out ways to move forward because you're not coming back.
What determines your resources? We've said decisions shape destiny, which is my focus here. If decisions shape destiny, what determines it is 3 decisions. What are you gonna focus on? Right now, you have to decide what you're gonna focus on. In this second, consciously or unconsciously, the minute you decide to focus on something, you gotta give it a meaning. And whatever that meaning is produces emotion. Is this the end or the beginning? Or is this the roll of the dice? An emotion then creates what we're gonna do, or the action. So think about your own life, the decisions that have shaped your destiny. And that sounds really heavy, but in the last 5 or 10 years, 15 years, haven't there been some decisions you've made that if you made a different decision, your life would be completely different?
But if you really want to become extraordinary, you've got to separate your self-esteem from being wrong. You have to. Because otherwise you're never going to see the opportunity to get better. And once that word "yet" is lingering out there, suddenly it becomes a question of time allocation. So you know you could get good at it, but it's gonna take a lot of time and energy. So what are the skills that you really want to get good at? And that goes back to that clarity. What do I need to get good at in order to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish? It does not need to be something that somebody else values. It needs to be the thing I have chosen to value, that I've built into my life, this worship around getting good at that thing. And because I value myself for pursuing that, and I value myself for admitting when I'm wrong, and I value myself for staring nakedly at my inadequacies, every day I'm getting better.
The difference between vision and a goal is the finish line. A goal is 26.2 miles. You can simply count the metrics and know when you've completed your goal. A vision is having a crystal clear sense of what the finish line looks like, but no idea of how far away it is. And the reality is you will spend your entire life never actually crossing the finish line, but the joy that every marathon you complete, you feel like you're getting closer. Every milestone that you accomplish makes you feel like you're getting closer and closer to the ideal, and this is what gives our life and our work meaning.
It's just looking in the mirror and telling yourself the story that you want. I mean, and a lot of people tell the story that everybody else wants them to tell, right? So the marketing message is the story is being told from out here, and then you're bringing it to you. What you have to do is tell the story you want. I wanted to be the powerful person. I wanted to be the one that people looked up to. I wanted to be the person that was respected. I just started telling that story over and over in the mirror. I mean, it was as simple as that.
We suffer on all different levels of suffering. Some people suffer on a high level, some people suffer because is the job going to get done? We have these moments of suffering, no matter if it's 5 minutes of suffering or an hour of suffering or months of suffering. Some people lose a relationship and they suffer for years. And if you can limit the time you suffer, the more you can work on the solutions that better your life.
I thought, how about I just leap with my imperfection and then find my form of perfecting my imperfection while I'm sorry. How about I do that? How about you not wait to get it right? You figure out how does it look doing it wrong? How does that look? Because your 80% of right is somebody else's 159% of what they needed. And when you want to do it right, and you want to wait till you're not afraid, and you want to wait till you have it all together, oh, you made it about you again. See, Nelson Mandela did it. He just did it not knowing if it were right. Mahatma Gandhi just did it not knowing if it were right. Mother Teresa just did it not looking for affirmation or confirmation. Is this right? Martin Luther King did it not even knowing if it would happen before his life ended.
Because I have a dream.
I mean, what are you waiting on? Are you willing to do it afraid?
Because you don't achieve worthwhile goals quickly or easily. They take time. They take struggle. They take relentless pursuit day in and day out. That's what it takes.
The quality of your life has nothing to do with how much money you have, how many beautiful children you have, how many people love you. The quality of your life is where you live emotionally. So we have to take control of what we focus on. We got to come up with new meanings, empowering meanings, and then that affects what your final decision is. What am I going to do?
And that's when I realized that there's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want.
Both of those things require hard work. You are in love because you work very hard every single day of your life to stay in love. You find a job that brings you ultimate joy because you work hard every single day to serve those around you, and you maintain that joy. It's not a discovery. But the problem is this sense of impatience. It's as if an entire generation is standing at the foot of a mountain. They know exactly what they want. They can see the summit. What they can't see is the mountain. This large, immovable object. Life, career fulfillment, relationships are journeys. The problem is, this entire generation has an institutionalized sense of impatience, and do they have the patience to go on the journey to maintain love, to feel fulfilled, or do they just quit and on to the next, dump and on to the next, ghost and on to the next?
So let me just ask you again, I want to go back to this. Who in your life makes you feel bad about your dreams, your goals, your desires? Because those people are affecting you whether you realize it or not. When you have a desire for that next level, someone negative, someone trying to protect you, tells you you shouldn't, you can't, you might say, no, I'm not listening to them. But even if 5% of that rubs off on you, then you might make different choices. You might play a little bit smaller than you need to. Your confidence could be crushed just a little bit more than it needs to be crushed. Do you think in today's world, do you think being good at something with most of your confidence is enough? Do you think being excellent with 90% of your confidence is enough? Hell no. You need to be freaking outstanding. You need to rock it with your confidence at 100%. And how can your confidence be at 100% if you're letting people in your life make you dim your glow, to lower your expectations, to play safer?
The woe is me mentality. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, you look to your right, and you start to judge yourself off other people. We are judging ourselves against too many people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And once you can silence all the outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow in realizing I'm stressed out for no reason.
It's all that thinking, that overthinking, that thinking too big. Thinking big is about dreams. Thinking big is about goals. Thinking big is about your heart and your soul and figuring out what you want. Then once you do that and you think big and you see where you're headed, boom, you gotta come back and you gotta go brick by brick to make that vision stick. You gotta go brick by brick to make the action stick. You gotta go brick by brick to lay that pathway forward and to keep going. And let me tell you something, I don't care how busy you are, I don't care how tired you are, I don't care how much there is to do to make this big dream forward, you have time to lay one brick a day. You really do. You really do. And this is the secret, everybody. This is the secret to everything. It's to understanding that there is no timeline to getting your dreams done. All there is to do is to allow your heart and soul to dream big, to see the path forward, and then to pull yourself into the moment every day and have the discipline to be deliberate, to lay one brick on that path. That's it. And to keep reminding yourself that everything that you're learning on the way as you lie bricks down and you move forward a little at a time is helping you build the path.
What you're going to do is trade your life. You're trading your life for whatever it is you're going after. Whatever your goal happens to be. Whatever you are pursuing, make certain it's worthy of you because you're trading your life for it.
what if works both ways. What if we fail? What if we don't?
And then you put a goal in your mind. How are you gonna feel, man, when you accomplish this goal? Had to use all this negative that was making me weak and horrible as a person? This might be exactly what I need. The darkness is exactly what I need. It's how you look at your situation.
What if can make you give up? What if can make you freak out? Or what if can make you step forward?
As human beings, we are meant to grow. And when you stop growing, your soul and your heart and your spirit dies. But as you move through life, it is unavoidable to face things that are challenging, face disappointment, face things that are just absolutely heartbreaking.
We start off with a masterpiece, and we start off with the basic goodness, but it's like that still small voice inside. It's still and small, it can easily be drowned out. And the idea is to be still and know, and to realize that we were wired for success, but it's how we relate to our experience that determines whether we're chipping away or we're, kind of burying that sense of wholeness that we're born with.
People are stunningly accepting of anything if they actually believe that's the purest form of it. People will accept you. People accept everything. Just be you.
And what we don't know is, what's in your heart? Like, what is the fire that stirs you, that you wake up saying, I will do this even when I don't feel like it. I will do whatever it takes to overcome my temptation for mediocrity, my temptation for excuses, my temptation for reasons and circumstances to hold me back. I won't allow those to be in my way. And if you have that within you, you'll achieve whatever you choose.
When you start to get into the pattern and the habit of spinning thoughts about what's coming, you will lose the battle with your mind, your health will tank, your mood will tank, your relationships will tank, your outlook will tank. It all begins with making a decision that you are not going to allow that shit in your mind. That is the one thing that you can control.
It's just that we forget it. We don't look inside, we're looking outside. And so unless we're still and we think about it and we understand that I was born with this masterpiece and no one can give it to me or take it away, it's an inside job. Whether you're coming from a place of scarcity or I would say survival mode, or coming from growth mode, which has to do with yes, I can, yes to life, and I have the capacity and the responsibility to make it different or to make it better.
If you're interested, you come up with stories, excuses, reasons, and circumstances why you can't or why you won't. If you're committed, those go out the window. You just do whatever it takes. And when it comes to the the problems that come up every day, I mean, it's like weather. It's sunny for a little bit. It's rainy. It's hailing. It's windy. That's life.
I truly think that if you complain, it's literally the second you start the sentence is a step back in a non-winning way. It's just that. Like, I don't care what you want. You can have anything you want. It's just important for people to understand that complaining has no value. Let your actions dictate instead of sitting there and feeling like you're not in control.
Be one thing. Some people say they're chasing happiness, and of course, Viktor Frankl said happiness cannot be pursued, it has to ensue. So you do things that make you happy. So I say people want peace of mind and people just want to be happy, I would say, or they don't want to suffer less. So the way I look at it is, if I can alleviate a little suffering or eliminate suffering completely, when we can open our heart and see other people suffering, it helps us to connect and have more compassion. You can't have compassion without suffering.
Worrying is not helping you, it's hurting you. Our minds are like boats, and if a boat isn't anchored, it will go with the current and drift away. And the current right now everywhere is extraordinarily negative. You need things to anchor you in the positive thought that this is going to pass, this is temporary, I'm going to get through this, and when I do, I'm going to go do this thing that I care about.
So many people have so much potential, and it seems like they're standing on the edge of it instead of leaping into it. And what's the difference between somebody who says, yes, I want it, I believe I can have it, I believe I could do it, but then there's another voice that they listen to more that says, but you're not smart enough, but you're not good enough, but what if you fail, what if you succeed? So there's voices in our head that most people have not learned how to really just pay attention to. If you have the belief that regardless of what happens in your external world, you can navigate towards the success that you want. That's a belief. And beliefs are the lens by which we actually see the world and by which we behave. And so if you want to change your results, don't focus on changing your behaviors, change your focus on the beliefs that drive your behavior.
Well, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So can you handle the truth? There's a question, and if you can't, if you see that, then you can say, well, if I'm going to change, I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that discomfort until the point that I can see what I need to see, then I can change it. Just continuing to make mistakes, learn from mistakes, but the mistakes are viewed as feedback, not as I'm a failure. It's just an event, not who we are.
Don't miss the opportunity of this moment, because the days are going to be long, but the months will be short. Passion is for you, purpose is what you express to the world. And so this is a moment for you to go inward and to find some sort of project that energizes you and that will stimulate that internal need to feel like you're waking up and you are working on something that you're passionate about.
Generally, you don't run from them, especially if they're not avoidable in the future. Generally, you stand, confront, decompose, understand, adapt. But just because you generally do that and it's the best bet doesn't mean it's definitely going to work. It's just the best shot you have at it. You know, it'd be lovely if something always worked, but if something always worked, people would never get sick and die. Right? And we do all the time. So we do our best, but that doesn't mean that always works, but it's still the best that can be done. It's still the alternatives.
So it's very important for us to have reasons to be excited about life. Like when you wake up in the morning, it can't just be about problems.
Everything that's life must happen to you. Have you come here to avoid life, or have you come here to experience life? Experience life, all the different dimensions of what this life holds.
What is your compassion for the world? Like, what problem do you want to solve? People always say, there's so many things I could do, there's so many things. I'm like, my question is not what causes you the greatest joy. Sometimes my question is, what causes you the greatest pain? Someone out there who's not living to their potential, and I think we're better people, we're better partners, and we're better parents when we live to our potential.
All of us have kind of an identity for ourselves, a way of defining ourselves. And human beings don't usually stray from that. And it's all consistent with the fact that human beings, our strongest drive is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. Now that's just a story. And if you tell yourself a story long enough, you start to believe it. And once you believe it, you act like it.
He said in every situation, between the situation and your response, there's a space. It might only be a millisecond. But in that space, you have the ability to choose how you're going to react or respond. When you react, whatever you're reacting to is in control of you, whether it's another person, a condition, or a circumstance. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you respond to the same thing, you stay in control. When you resp
When perfectionism hinders your ability to have joy, to pursue something because of your fear of failure, or you're never good enough, or you can't relish your accomplishment, it becomes maladaptive.
A battlefield that goes on in your mind all the time. And there's bombs that are exploding all the time. Fear, anxiety, I'm not good enough. And a lot of times you're making those bombs explode, or somebody else is making those bombs explode, right? You have to take control of that space.
To transform your life, you want to do it in 2 minutes. So is that what your life is worth? So if your life is worthwhile, is it not important that you invest a certain amount of time and energy rather than looking for this stupid stuff of one mantra with which I will transform my life? It will not happen like that. That's the reason why most people have remained the way they have remained, because they've not invested in their well-being.
The space between our ears, we don't have control over it. A lot of other people have set shop in it. They've like taken the most expensive real estate in the world. You gotta make sure you control that battlefield that's going on in there. It's your space, it's your mind. You're going to have negative thoughts. You are. Just changing your thought is not gonna change your action. It may change your perspective, but you still have to continue to push forward.
I don't think that we're born blank slates, but we are so close to that. To worry about where your limits are is to miss how much you can improve. So focus on how much you can improve. There's an amazing quote by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and what he said was, "The line between good and evil runs through every human heart." To me, it's not about good and evil. To me, it's about malleability. That's a statement of how shapeable we are. Now, here's the terrifying thing about how we get shaped. It happens when you're young. You get all these things that come to you that seem to be simply true. I believed that the human mind couldn't change. I believed that it was fixed. I believed that my talent and intelligence were just what they were. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Albert Einstein. And he said, the most important decision any human being has to make is whether they live in a friendly or a hostile universe. Decision. The most important decision anyone has to make. Because neither of those two states is empirically true, but either will immediately appear true once you decide to believe it. So once you decide to believe, the world is working for me, this is happening for me, it's not happening to me. Once you believe that, you start looking for the ways in which that was powerful. How is the worst thing that ever happened to me actually secretly the best thing that's ever happened to me? You could be one of any countless identities that we see in the world. But we don't, because each of these places carries with it a value system, a belief system, things that are unique to that group that you grow up in, what your parents tell you about your family, about you, what it means to be you, what you learn in schools, what you see in the media, all of that stuff is shaping how you view yourself and how you view the world. But it's happening insidiously because it is so invisible. People don't realize that they are choices. Now, once you reframe all of this as these are things that I'm choosing to believe, and once you realize that you can choose to believe something new and thusly get a different result, everything changes.
Within yourself, have you ever experienced anything outside of yourself? Everything that ever happened to you, darkness and light happened within you, pain and pleasure happened within you, joy and misery happen within you. Have you ever experienced anything outside of yourself? No. So what I am asking you is, what happens within you? Who should determine how it should happen? What happens within you? Who should determine how this should happen? Somebody else? Definitely you should determine what should happen within this, isn't it? So if you determine what's happening within this, your whole experience of life will be determined by you, nobody else but you, isn't it?
The first thing they should do is understand why we have goals. Not just to set a goal, because most people don't set goals right. They're operating with a limited level of consciousness, so they're thinking, could get a little more money, and if I could get him to help me and her to help me and this happened, then I could do this. Maybe this is get a new car. What we've got to understand is we're trading our life for our goals. Literally trading our life. Would you trade your life for a car or a house? I don't think so. So it's got to be something really meaningful. And we're not taught to think this way. We should sit down and don't give any thought to where the money's going to come from, where the help's going to come from. It's what do you really want?
To go and follow that, go and live that purpose. And I see time and time again that when I see people trying to live their purpose, they are protected, that things work. When you're playing in your dharma and your purpose, things work, things move, they happen. And I'm not saying they happen without effort, but they happen, they move. Whereas when you're not, you just constantly feel like you're grinding up against, a wall.
How important is it to you to grow? Because you were put on earth to grow, to contribute, to serve, to help. You were in your way. And the current version of you is perfect as it stands right now, but it will be inferior next year. You're perfect as you are now. Ladies, men, you too, you are perfect as you exist right now. But that version of you isn't sufficient next year. You gotta be crazy, hungry, crisis to get to that next version of you.
And often people try and belittle and devalue their own pain to get out of it, but that actually just slows down the process and then they're back to square one again. So you've got to accept the pain you went through. You've got to accept that you want to heal it. One of the best ways to explain this is how what we search for in our partners or in life is what we did or didn't get from our parents. We need to have the awareness of developing the emotional skills that our parents didn't have. So again, reminding ourselves of being aware that we're literally creating lives that will continue in the same direction unless our mindset changes.
Start breaking it down. Start breaking it down. And most of us, we live in a box. And we don't want to go outside that box at all, ever. Outside that box is all these possibilities of life. But what we do is we shackle our mind. We are a prisoner in our own mind that this is all I can do. This is all I'm good at. And we take away the possibilities of you could be this, you could be that, you could be all these things. There'd be nothing. So what people understand is that they live for themselves, not knowing that you have the power within yourself to change millions of lives by facing life. My biggest fear in life is if there is a final resting place in this world, and there's a final judgment, and you talk to something much bigger than you. I don't want to sit down and have a conversation with someone, with something that says, you're in heaven, this is what you should have been on earth. And are you really in heaven now, or are you in hell? Thinking about how much I left on the table for fear, for not willing to go over the wall, and over the next wall, and over the next wall. So in my mind, I believe that. And God knows all. At least I believe that. That's how I live my life. I now know that there is no cap on the human mind. There's no cap. We cap it ourselves.
I'm telling you, tell a good lie. I'm gonna make a difference in the world, and you don't believe it, but say it 1,000,000 times, you're gonna end up believing it. I'm meant to do something special in my life. There's no way in the world God put me on this planet to just be a regular guy. No way, the blood in here is boiling. I wanna do something big with my life. This guy was put on this planet to make a difference. Say it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Convince everybody in the world. The entire time you're just trying to convince one person, and that is you. And that's the game of future truth.
See, there's a book being written about your life, isn't there? Someone somewhere's taking inventory of your life. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 10. You write your own book. And at any moment in your life, you can decide that you want to make this the new chapter. You're literally in your life, you can turn the page. And those previous chapters are your old book. It's like Old Testament, New Testament. Old story, new story. They're connected, they're related, but you can flip the page and you can have a whole new story. If you decide right now, I am literally turning, my breakthrough is I turn the page, and in this second, I start to write the best chapters of my life. You could decide to do that.
But I'm telling you right now, you're not defined by who you are, you're defined by who you want to become.
Bouncing back, number one, is refusing to listen to the negative chatter in my own head, creating something from absolutely nothing. I didn't ask permission, I gave notice. At some point, I have to stop asking, can I be great? Can I be brilliant? Can I be okay and still be accepted? I just stopped asking permission and just gave notice unapologetically, not in a braggadocious way, not in a way that shrunk anyone else, in a way that said, I only got one life, and I'm gonna ride this one till the wheels fall off.
If you have a passion in your heart, fire in your belly, it's gonna be you. It's gonna be you getting up early. It's gonna be you staying up late. It's gonna be you running the miles and going to the gym. And it's only gonna be you, because outside motivation can only last for so long. You can hire the greatest trainer in the world, but ultimately it's on me.
In life, a lot of us believe that we're working much harder than we actually are. We think if we've got up early for 4 days, we've earned something. You gotta drop your entitled mindset. It's dead weight. We believe we work harder than we actually have. Trust me, most of us haven't. The one thing in life you gotta realize is this: learn to help yourself. Don't count on other people to help you.
Is to open yourself to the possibility that everything isn't the way it appears to be. And so even if you can just open yourself to that possibility, just for a moment, you can pick up it all the next day. You can take it all with you the next day, that it's all real and everything that you're seeing. But if you just for a moment open to the possibility that things might not be the way that you think they are, then you have the greatest opportunity to really discover something incredible, how incredible you are.
Drives me nuts. Everybody thinks they're going to turn inside like an archaeologist and find that thing, their deepest passion, the thing they always loved, hiding inside. As soon as you say it, I hope it sounds ridiculous, that you would love something that much and yet somehow be blind to it. It doesn't work like that. It's like real love. You've got to go on a date first. You see somebody you're interested in. You talk to them, it sparks something. You spend time, you engage. And through that process of engaging with it, maybe, if you're lucky, it turns into a fascination. But if you really want a passion, you've got to go through the process of gaining mastery.
We had to keep doing the work to get to a place where we could be here. And that's the thing that I think people miss, is like, you have to keep going. You don't even know who you're gonna be. You don't know who you're gonna be. a decade from now or 10 years from now, because you stopped. Like, why am I successful and other people who want the same things and started at the same time aren't? Because when they heard no, they listened.
But faith is believing in the unseen anyway. So I had enough faith to go, I know like I know like I know like I know. I don't necessarily have to see it yet.
Because I choose not to ever be a victim. I cannot choose whether I'm victimized, but I have the ability to say I will never be a victim. Because there's always something you can do differently. There is always something you can do differently.
You are celebrated in the light for what you do in the dark. Like what you do before anyone else is awake, what you do when no one is looking, that's what you're celebrated for. And nobody else can force you to do that. That's going to be on you.
If you would just think about what you want, that's all you'd ever get in your life. Every time a belief goes out, you feel completely free. You know, it's amazing, amazing feeling. You just feel as light as a feather, and actually you feel invincible.
Tell me how holding on to all the reasons, all the excuses, all the justification for why your life sucks, tell me how it's serving you. Has it made your life better? Has it given you more access? Has it given you more friends? Has it propelled you forward? Has it given you strength? Or did it suck the life out of you?
Anything after the word I am is true to your unconscious mind, Michael. Anything after I am. Anything after I am.